What up, people? Dog, I got it. I love that song. Believe it or not, the song in the intro, it's my song. I recorded everything. I played all the instruments, recorded it all 20 years ago. Good Lord. I was a rapper 20 years ago. Tried to be a singer, didn't train my voice right, so I picked up rapping. But one of these days, maybe after price appreciation, I'm gonna train that dang voice. I'll hit them notes right. So yeah, I'm kind of stalling. There it is. Since the other day I recorded no audio on my one of my things again, being a professional with a $10 microphone. Um, I usually double check all the audios, and I didn't check that one, so I did it was actually the best podcast in the history of everything on any planet in any universe. I just didn't do the audio, so I had to re-record it. But trust, it was good. But today we're gonna let you know that this chart is fake. It's not real. That is not the real. That is not reality. That is the real number they are telling you. It is not real. This number is fake. They're saying things are getting better. That's fake. It's not real. All these numbers, all these charts are all fake, manipulated 100%. Just if you had any doubt, like, maybe it might be a little. No, 100%, all the way fake retarded, just to let you know you're welcome. What we're going to do, since that is true, we're going to jump back into something else that's not fake and retarded, Evernorth. Because it's based on XRP, which has the once in a galactic universe, maybe, I mean, ever since, the Younger Dryas 11,000 years ago, because there might have been another civilization that had something like XRP, but we don't know because they're 400 feet buried under the earth right now and under the water because 11,000 years ago, everybody knows that all the ocean levels rose up 400 feet. So that means they rose inland tens and hundreds of miles of coastline worldwide was lost. Everybody knows that 11,000 years ago. So all those cities on the coast for 100 miles inland are gone. They might have had something like XRP, but we don't know that yet. So, for all intents and purposes, XRP is the first chance humans as a species get of having real currency, of having an asset based, deflationary, true, honest, merit based money. First time ever, ever, ever. And retail's front running it. This is amazing. This is when people say the meek shall inherit the earth. People that, have ears to hear and eyes to see, who are paying attention, they see this chart and they know it's fake and it's a lie. They see this chart and know it's fake and a lie. This chart says, chill out, go to work, pay your taxes, everything's fine. Your grocery bill that's up 300% is not a big deal. You got to do that so we could have this new forever war. That's the price you have to pay for the new forever war and for the next forever war, by the way. After this forever war's done in a decade or so, you're going to have to pay for the next one. So just, buckle in, pay your taxes, and finish your job at work for 40 years. That's what this chart says. Because you realize 6 months ago, when things were, 1,000% better, or 500% better, whatever, way, way, way better, the price was 19,000. When we had oil, when the shipping lanes were still intact, when the supply chains still existed, price per barrel of crude was at 19,000. Now that the supply chains are destroyed, the strategic petroleum reserves are destroyed, everything's destroyed. Now gas is going down. Why paper gas? All the fake paper gas. What will destroy paper gas? The blockchain. I'm jumping around. I get it. I'm on 2 cups of coffee. I'm on all of my supplements. I'm pumping it up. I was supposed to bench press today, but I didn't feel like it, man. Like, I don't think I like bench pressing anymore. I'm going to use free weights and dumbbells and kettlebells to make up for bench press, and it doesn't feel right. It puts weird stress on my shoulder and neck. Don't like it. So I'm going to do back and biceps today, and I'm pumped right now. So that's all I got to say about that. So fake, but let's talk about what's real, because if you focus on what fake, whatever you focus on, you attract into your life. So right now, for this first 6 minutes, I'm attracting fake into my life. Let's not do that. Let's talk about real. Here's what's real. Banks are insolvent. Here's what's real. The derivatives market is insolvent. Here's what's real. The oil charts are fake, whatever, but that's real though. So I'm leading you up. That's why I put in the comments like, this is not a black pill. This is not a negative talk. This is actually positive. Because if you're walking down a path in the woods at night, but you already know where all the picker bushes are and where all the broken glass is or whatever, you can stay away from it. So people in the XRP community know what to stay away from. We already know. We can see through. We have eyes to see because we're paying attention. So I went through, look at my post if you want. I went through tons of things explaining all this, but the financial market is insolvent. The financial market is an insolvent paper parasite on the real economy. What we are doing right now is all these fake charts, we're destroying them because we're going for transparency. We're going towards asset-based money. We're going towards deflationary. The only way possible to have inflation is if your currency is fake and can be printed at will. And if scarcity doesn't even matter. That's the only way you could have inflation, is if your money is fake. Here we are, fake money. It's called fiat. It just floats anywhere. It's worth whatever you think it's worth. You could print however much you want to print. Nothing based in reality about it. So that's what the blockchains are going to do, is get transparency. Guess what happens to forever wars when you have transparency? Forever wars drop to zero. Guess what? There's actually not going to be another forever war because we're going to asset-based currency where transparency and accountability happen intrinsically, automatically. So zero forever wars. You cannot have another Obama printing trillions in cash, billions back then, and sending them on a fleet of 737s on pallets of cash to Iraq and storing those pallets on cash in piles in a warehouse. You can't send pallets of cash in a fleet of 737s to Iraq anymore to fund both sides if we have blockchains. Because it'll be like, wait a minute, where did that go? You can't have, was it Rumsfeld come out on September 10th, 2001 and say, well, we just lost a couple $trillion. We're sorry. You can't lose a couple $trillion on the blockchain and then, something big happened the next day to make everybody forget about Rumsfeld coming out and saying they lost, 2.7 trillion? Oops, we lost it, but here's something to distract you. We can't do that anymore because we have transparency and accountability on the blockchain. That makes it a better world. But wait, there's more. There's way more than that that's coming in that's why banks, that's why Congress is fighting transparency, because if Congress if Congress has to be transparent, then all of their income disappears. They go down to having 100,000 a year. We can't become a centimillionaire on 100,000 a year in Congress. because they're really fucking retarded. We can, people with XRP can, because we understand what's happening. But Congress are not the best. They are illegitimate retards. And I'm focusing on the negative. That means I'm attracting negative into my life. So let me just stop that right there. But say Congress is irrelevant. They're illegitimate and irrelevant. We don't need them. We're moving into a future where people like the people in Congress are unnecessary. Those are not leaders. They are the DEI of leaders. We are moving towards merit based leaders. Jay Claver talks about a technocracy and all that. I'm leaning forward towards a geniocracy or a geniocracy by the geniuses, which is not the cold-hearted intelligent. We already tried that. We already tried a technocracy in Germany and in Russia and the Democrats. They were sending out their smartest, and that's stupid. What we need is intelligence tempered with wisdom. We haven't tried that yet. Maybe we did before the Younger Dryas 11,000 years ago, but as of yet, in recorded history, we haven't tried intelligence tempered with wisdom yet, which is a geniocracy. The geniuses. Which I believe we're moving into. So I'm happy about that. So I'm trying to stay on the positive side, saying, oh, basically it is positive because I'm saying all this negative debt slavery that we've experienced since recorded history is ended. It's already ended. It's just not being reported that it's over. But it's ended. So, all that to say, Evernorth steps in. This is going to be a shorter one. I was microwaving my food, and I just wanted to jump in and say this. Jay Claver liked my post. I don't think he could talk about it, or maybe like what I think is his lawyers are like, bro, don't interact. Don't interact with that account, man. That dude's crazy nuts, which is true. But he liked it. I hit him a little shout out there. But I want people to start talking about this. Like, I'm seeing something nobody in the world is talking about. And, you know, the obvious answer is, well, I'm wrong and I need to fall back in line. But obviously, I'm not going to do that because I'm severely retarded. But here we go. The total number of shares issued by Evernorth is not determined yet. According to the new VWAP and their new S4A, the Sixth Amendment, the total numbers of shares issued will be determined at closing. How is it determined? Through a VWAP equation. What's important about the VWAP is the closing price. That's the variable. Okay, it's so much information that I have to hit it a little bit at a time. So the only variable that will change is the price of XRP. The amount of money in the treasury is a set variable. The initial, I don't know if you could see that. Go unstupid. Can you unstupid yourself? I hate it. All right. The signing price, which you probably can't read that, but this is in the S4. Go find it for yourself. The signing price is set at $2.36. The closing price is not set yet. The closing price will be set by taking the arithmetic average for 4 p.m. New York City time for each of the 3 days immediately preceding the closing date of XRPN. So you get the closing price by taking the average of the 3 days before XRPN closes, before Evernorth closes. Okay? So you take that. So we don't know what the amount of shares is going to be. But I went through my dark night of the soul terror with this announcement. Like, if XRP gaps up like everyone, in the XRP community thinks it's going to do, that, and it does that for the 3 days prior to close, that means the value density per share of Evernorth retail gets decimated. If it goes to $100, then you go from 20 XRP per share retail to zero point 0.1 XRP per share, a tenth of a XRP per share. And they're printing billions of shares because the advanced funders get to make up for the XRP per share density going low. They get to make up for that with extra shares. Retail doesn't get the extra shares. We get screwed. So if XRP increases, we get screwed. So I was focusing on that, like, oh, no, my God. But I'm like, wait, what does XRP want? What's their goal? What is the purpose of Evernorth? Well, and the big clue is that tokenization is coming up. So what would be better for an entity if tokenization is happening? Well, you would want higher value density per share because that means less shares are taken up per pledge of a settlement. And also on top of that, it means less fractions of one share is taken up per settlement. Because tokenization, you could split shares into basically infinite. And if it's a high value density per share, then each little fraction of that share, each drop, quote unquote, it's not really a drop, but each fraction of that share is worth more, has a higher value, so it could cover more. And then we go into the reuse multiplier down that road. So the goal of Evernorth isn't maximizing share count, it's maximizing value density, which means higher XRP exposure per share. So with that in mind, they want Evernorth, each share of Evernorth, they want it to have maximum value density. So what does that mean? Lower shares, the lower amount of total shares issued at closing of XRP in. Well, how do we do that? You do that with, sorry, I'm pumped. This coffee is way too strong. You do that with a new equation called the VWAP, and the VWAP determines a volume weighted asset price. So the numbers of shares that will be issued at close, because we don't know what it is yet, we don't know that number, but the number, whatever that number is, of shares issued at close is determined by the price of XRP. Just let that sink in. So that makes you crazy at first. Well, me crazy. Nobody else even mentioned this once. 0 people mentioned this at all ever, which is weird to me. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. No one's seeing this. This is the most important thing in the world right now, especially in Japan. This is the most important thing that could ever possibly. This is more important than the reverse carry trade. This is what solves and is the liquidity sink for the reverse carry trade. I'm pumped with stable coins and all that. This is it. So, in my opinion, I jumped to the conclusion value density is the goal. High XRP exposure per share is the goal. Highest possible to maximize value density. How do you do that? With this VWAP. So that means you want the fewest issued shares of Evernorth at close is the goal. So how do you do that? Well, the 3 days prior to XRP in Evernorth officially closing, you would want the price of XRP to violently gap down, violently lower than $1 per XRP. That's what you would want to maximize value density. So for 3 days, if this is the goal, value density of Evernorth is the goal, because when tokenization comes in, you want high value density. So I believe that's the goal. If that is true and all of this follows, then what we will see is a violent depreciation of XRP 3 days immediately prior to Evernorth closing. I taking crazy pills? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Nobody sees this. Nobody talks about this. What the dang heck am I doing over here? Beyond Broke liked it, but I don't think he can talk about it. Or I think his lawyers are like, bro, just stay way the fuck clear of that account. Stay away from that account, man. That account is nutty cuckoo. I could see that happening, which is true. But I'm a nice nutty cuckoo. I'm a helpful nutty cuckoo. So that's what I see. That's really all I have today. And now I'm really hungry all of a sudden. So fewest issued shares of Evernorth at close is the goal. Value density is the goal. I mean, for example, if we go to extremes and all of a sudden the price of XRP dips to 50 cents or below, that's a nightmare. Don't talk about that. You're black pill. If the price of XRP dips to 50 cents or below, we're talking like 40,000 3 days prior to XRP end closing, we're talking 40 million shares or less of Evernorth. That value density is 20 XRP per share or more to start with. Just imagine that. Imagine that. That's the world I live in. This is the world I see happening. All of a sudden, out of the blue for most people, unless there's two people listening to my show and one of them might be me, but anybody watching this will not be surprised. Like all of a sudden it gaps down to 50 cents. And the perfect cover for that would be Jake Claver's domino theory. Remember, because all of these charts are completely fake. And one of these days, one of these moments, instantly, all of a sudden, in the flip of a switch, in the blink of an eye, all of these fake paper charts are going to have to gap up and close the gap to the real economic market, the real economy. This is the paper economy. This is the financial system, which we have to destroy the financial system to save the real economy. That's what we're doing. We're saving the real economy by destroying the financial system, the paper market. And all of a sudden, an extremely violent repricing will happen when paper markets are shown to be insolvent. Dang, how many clicks did I click? Where you at, Bubba? Yeah. The derivatives market is insolvent. It's all paper, blah, blah, blah. A 300 to 1 at least ratio of paper silver to silver. That's 300 times of fake silver for every 1 ounce of silver. That's how fake these markets are. The banks are insolvent. Fractional reserve. I think they were down to 1/10 reserves, and I think that got pushed away. So now they could have zero reserves. The banks do not have your fake fiat money. These oil charts are fake. They won't be fake for long. They will gap up to the economic, the real economy. They will gap up to the real economy. Right now we're in the paper economy. We're going to decouple and gap up to the real price. Artificial suppression. What is that? That's fake. Artificial suppression of asset prices via low volume overnight trading and derivative speculation collapses, forcing an immediate convergence, a gap up between financial valuations and physical reality. What we're going to do is save the physical reality by sacrificing the financial evaluations. We're destroying the fake, phony, retarded financial markets to save the necessary merit-based physical reality, physical economy. That's what we're doing through transparency, through merit. The paper market characterized by wash trading and value spikes designed to set prices rather than discover them. They're setting this price here. This is fake. It's being set here. fails to meet the obligations of physical settlement. That's force majeure. That's your fakeness gets exposed. We're setting fire to the paper market. Be advised if that is what's happening, and it'll be violent and it'll catch 99% of the population by surprise. If you heard my words, we are here. We're already here. I am living on the other side of price appreciation already. I know what these charts are. I know what they should be, and I see the real economy. I'm living in the real economy. I am not living in the financial market. I'm living in a world that already burned the paper market. I recommend you do too. You could start by imagining what it would look like and feeling what it would look like and how you would feel in that market. When all the fakeness is finally obliterated, imagine how you would feel. That's how you do it. All right, folks, that's what I got today. I'm hungry. I got to take this last chicken outside and just the total number of shares issued by Evernorth is not determined yet. Just let that soak in. They said Evernorth is gonna close between end of Q3, early Q4, September, October. They're ready to roll. They're on their sixth back and forth discussion on the S4 with the SEC. The SEC just came out like, hey, we're playing ball with crypto, man. Let's roll. There's a meeting today. And the number of shares they're going to issue at closing is still undetermined. It's determined only by the price of XRP at close. And if we're going for value density to maximize value density per share, XRP exposure per share, then that means the price of XRP must violently gap down the 3 days prior to Evernorth closing. Check my logic. Look into it. I think I can tell the future. I'm the only one. I'm the only one on the internet right now that sees this. FYI. Love you, folks. This is good news. This is good news. It is possible to see through the fake and retardedness of the fiat financial market and see the real economy. Look for the physical economy. That's what you need to see. Here we are, folks. I love you so much. Have a good day. I'm going to eat some ramen. I put pickle juice in it. I soaked some lentils and beans and then blended that up. So that's like your proteins and junks and fiber. And then I cut up some collard greens into strips and threw that in there. And then I put some soy sauce and pickles in there. That's how you eat ramen noodles. Ooh, and then I put 3 eggs in there and whipped that up. I mean, what is that? Like almost 30 grams of protein in one big old bowl of ramen? Let's go. Let's get swole. All right, love you folks. Bye.